This is a video that's going to show you what's new in our latest version, 4.328. When you bring up your software, you should see that there's a new version available. I'll ask you if you want to auto update. Click yes, and it will automatically install for you. And then when you bring it back up, here are the changes. People have been asking for FX trade signals that I've been posting on Facebook. I've created these over the last 6 months for myself, mainly with automated trading, and people have been clamoring for them, so I've decided to release them, even though I don't feel that they're 100% done. So they are beta release now, and I'm going to be showing them in the Forex blogs each day. They seem to work much better on days where the market's not, volatility is normal or lower. On super high volatility, where markets break out above or below our upper or lower containment bands and keep going and going and going, the signals are far less accurate. When the markets are kind of chopping around, swings are going up and down, double tops, fib targets, support resistance, all the almost 70 different signals that are in the software work far better. That being said, if you use our currency index in conjunction with them, you should be okay on every single day. Alright, so here are some of the changes in the latest version. One, we have built in our currency index, so you can just basically bring them up as a regular chart. Put in a star, asterisk, EUR, or USD, or JPY. If you want to load our pre-configured ones, go to Chart Examples and click Currency Indexes. Now if you want to add these to your existing workspace, uncheck this, Clear Current Workspace before loading. And then when you do that, and you can put them on any layer you want, let's say layer 10 for instance, and you click Open, it's going to load these currency indexes with all the settings and studies and scripts that I find very helpful. Because these are now just like any other symbol, even though there's a lot of math and a lot of data being downloaded behind the scenes to calculate these, and by the way, they work on all minute-based daily and weekly time frames. If you want to see a 30-minute euro-dollar index, put in 30. Obviously it has to download a lot of data, and it calculates it. 4 hours. Again, this is very data intensive. However, it saves hundreds of megabytes of data compared to the way I did it myself with a script. It's much faster having it built into the software. So now you see a 4-hour chart of just the euro. And if you want to see daily, period D lets you see the daily trend of the euro. So by having these built in, it is incredibly more memory and CPU beneficial than before. Now, there's no way to line up all the different currencies on tick charts or range charts, so they only work on minute-based charts, but you can go down to 1 minute, 2 minute if you want to see what's happening in each currency. On past bars, we do approximate the wick. Going live, it's 100% accurate, but mostly the open and closes are what you want to use anyway. Now, like I said, this is a regular chart now, so you can add indicators to it, containment bands. The way I like to use the containment bands, if you want to set them up manually yourself, I use a regular, hourly, simple moving average containment band for the center. Above that, we're looking for buys. Below that, we're looking for sells. Hit Add Study. And then I will add the digital signal processing based containment bands on, because they are far more accurate than the regular simple moving average ones. We put the 1.5 and the 2 on there. I also like to see the 15-minute moving average. I put 15 here, and what this is going to do is going to show you what the average of all the euro pairs are for a 15-minute bar, and it tends to be a pretty good trend identification. You know, if you want to look to, and notice how the upper containment bands, the euro ran out of steam, ran out of steam, ran out of steam, and then exploded down. And when it's underneath the lower bands, look, it shot back up considerably. You can use the FX trend intensity, or what I prefer now is our perfect oscillator, which I showed yesterday in the Forex blog. This lets you see a wealth of information, and what I particularly like about it is when you have a trend that's very strongly up, you want to buy a pullback in it, when the perfect oscillator is at the lower containment band or the minus 80 level, it tends to be a decent place to get in. And as you can see, the euro went up. It's very close to the lower band right here, not quite, and the euro went up. Again, right here, what happened? The euro went up. What happened right here? It's below the lower Bollinger Band of the perfect oscillator and the minus 80 extreme, and the price went up. Now, obviously, the market exploded down violently and an incredible amount. This is a downtrend, so obviously you're really hoping to sell the plus 80 levels, and of course, what happened? Price went down. So, of all the times that this hit, it worked every single time, except this right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It worked 5 out of 6 times. You're never going to find anything in your life that works 100% of the time. You know, the only people that think that are total morons and idiots, and hopefully they're not using our software. It's probably too complicated for them, even though I think I've made it as simple as possible. Now, you want to trade with a trend until the market goes statistically too far. And when the market's at an extreme above the upper band and it hits the upper perfect oscillator Bollinger Band, pretty decent place to do a counter trend trade, as you can see. So there's so many ways to use the perfect oscillator that our older tools, just don't do. Now, since the perfect oscillator is actually on the index, it's actually showing you the results of all the euro-dollar pairs. So one of the things that's new is the new currency indexes. Another thing that's new is the perfect oscillator. This used to be a script that was very inefficient, used a lot of memory, a lot of CPU power. We've built it into the software, and it's still a script, but I'm accessing a function call that my partner built into the software. So it uses a lot less memory and CPU, and it's flawless. There's no script-based issues that can cause it to be slightly inaccurate. As you can see right here, this one chart with the currency indexes uses 28 megs. Previously used significantly more than that. If you want to set up a chart the way you like it. Now, by the way, I also really recommend, and I also enhanced our pivot score for daily trends, weekly trends, monthly trends. And you can see what time frame trend you're trading in all directions. Now, once you have a chart the way you like it, you can right-click on it and duplicate the window, move it somewhere else, resize it if you need to. Once it loads the data, you can put on, let's say, USD. And now you can see, the euro index, the dollar index, and hopefully it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that if the euro is going up and the dollar is going down, then you want to be buying the euro dollar. When they're both going up, you can still buy the euro dollar, but it's going to go up less violently. And when the euro broke down right here, a little bit before 9, the dollar's trend was up. It wasn't as violently up as the euro, but it had pulled back and found support at its hourly moving average, which frequently does. You can see even the euro did earlier before falling, and right here it did as well. These are great places. If the trend's down and it comes back up to the hourly from below, you sell it. You sell it. Comes down to it from above, you buy it. It's that simple. The dollar's going up, comes down right here at 7. At 7, you can see the euro is up too much. The dollar's at a very likely place to pull back and go up. So you could do a counter trend trade at 7, selling the euro dollar. The euro dollar is extremely likely to fall at 7. And of course, if you look at the chart, at 7 right here, what does it do? It falls from 32.13 to 01. It rallies up again, and then it just absolutely tanks. So, to recap, currency indexes are new. You can click Load Chart Examples, Currency Indexes, and remember to uncheck this so that you can add it to your existing workspace if it's open. Once you bring these up and put it on a certain layer, you can, obviously grab the sides, and it shows you how many pixels the chart is. You can make them exactly the size you want, or you can go up to the chart itself, and if you want them 600 by 300, just hit that, and they will show up the perfect size. Grab the top and move it around. When you're done, save your workspace. Make sure to save your workspace in the C Top Gun directory so that next time you load the software and you click you open our software and click load, you'll see all your workspaces there. The perfect oscillator is new and enhanced. I've also enhanced, even though I don't use this, I was experimenting with using it for a system. It didn't pan out, but it is much more efficient, much more accurate than before. It is also built into the software, and I use a function call now to get it. Fisher transform has been enhanced. It's much more accurate now. And last but not least, what everyone pretty much has asked for is our FX trade signals, which I'm going to go over right now. If you put these, and these were designed primarily with the euro in mind. Let's seek a little bit more data than 2 days. We'll have 6 days. That's the standard. Range data is basically, in this case, 5 pips per bar. So every time the market moves 5 pips, there's a new bar. The reason I use range bars is because there's many patterns that are repeatable. For instance, when you have a strong downtrend, a 3 to 5 bar up move followed by 1 bar closing down tends to go down, as you can see right here, right here. You have a 4 bar up close right here that reverses the trend. And to add the signals, you go to Add Script, FX Trade Signals. Now keep in mind this is beta. The only reason I'm releasing this, and I've also put in the audio alerts, is because I knew people were going to be asking for that. I haven't tested that feature much at all. It seemed to work today when I was watching and trading, but it might have some issues I'll have to fix. And I plan on releasing a new version in 2 to 4 weeks with the updated trade signals. I spend probably 3 to 8 hours every day looking at the signals. Again, there's close to 70 of them in here now. And ones that just don't ever pan out, I remove. Ones that need tweaked, I tweak. And the ones that are working perfectly, in 70–80% of the time, I leave alone. So again, you're going to, some days, see these signals do extremely well. And other days, on higher volatility periods like this, you might see a little bit lower accuracy. This downloads an absolute ton of data for this. There's close to 30 different indicators with different settings that the various patterns use. So it's going to take a while to download all that data. Then it shows up and it updates in real time pretty much perfectly. If there are some cases where signals live show up that don't show up on historical charts, some historical signals that don't show up on live charts, and that's because the data is slightly different live versus historical sometimes. Depending on how many days of data you have and where the range bars start, the data can be slightly different. But regardless, because we have 70 signals, usually the patterns show up. Alright, so here we have the signals today. And remember, when the market started the day off, it was a little bit less volatile. Obviously, the trend was up, so you're a little bit better off looking for buy signals. And once the market kind of goes below this little swing here, you're really better off looking for sell signals. Now, so this trade right here, this was a little bit early. This one here, nailed that low. This sell here worked. This sell here worked. Counter trend signals on explosive days are less accurate than normal days where the market's kind of choppy and goes up and down. Let me just showcase some of these signals on previous days, because today actually it was a little less accurate than it is most days. You see this sell here worked, this sell here worked, this buy here worked, this one failed, this one pretty much break even, small profit, big profit, big profit, big profit, small win, decent win, huge win, small win. That's one day. That's the last August 20th. Here's the 21st. Just showing these so you can see what most days these patterns are extremely accurate. And obviously, sell signals underneath the lower containment bands are lower odds. Since then, I've put in code that takes trades like this only when the market's super weak, so most of those trades are not going to show up anymore. and that's the whole reason why I spend 3 to 8 hours every day tweaking the patterns that don't work. The market does weird things some days that I have not seen before, or in a different order than what normally occurs, and so I can put new rules in there that prevent those while keeping the good ones. Here's the 23rd of last month. In my own pattern, the version I use, it shows me what the pattern is. The 3-line break pattern. These are oddball trades, counter trend trades, trend trades, counter trend, trade number 12. Basically, it's up too much above the upper band, above the 4-hour statistical 1 standard deviation high, and you have a mini double top right here. Very high probability pattern that rarely ever happens. You might get it once or twice a week in any given currency, or even maybe half a dozen currencies. It might happen once a week. That's why I have so many patterns. And if you learn how to trade based on watching our videos, you're going to improve upon our signals, because some trades a professional trader wouldn't take. This is last month on the 29th. This was a little bit early. This one worked, this one worked, this one worked. You have 2 signals here, mainly because they use different patterns. This one here failed. And guess what? We broke the previous swing low, so this is kind of a counter trend trade. It's less likely to work, and it didn't. Trend trade worked, trend trade worked. Counter trend trade probably stopped out. Trend trade worked, counter trend trade really didn't. But if you see these counter trend trades, what you can do, what I often do when I manually trade, is I'm going to kind of look for a trend line break and then get in myself. And a lot of times I don't wait for the trend line break. If the market, if I get a buy signal and it goes underneath that and then comes back up, a lot of times I'll get long right here with my stop underneath here. There's so much you can do when you manually and discretionarily trade these. Now, before people ask, I don't have any intention on releasing automated trading for many reasons. One, the brokers that we have hooked our accounts to are not retail brokers, so most people wouldn't qualify for an account. Two, hooking up and doing the execution component to this took us 1.5 years. We don't really want to do it for just any broker. Third, we're not CTAs, and it might get us into some legal issues. We are NFA regulated, so because of those reasons, and also because we might, probably 5 to 10% chance, but it's a possibility, we might manage money in the future and become CTAs. We're not releasing the automated. So, but you can use these signals, same exact ones I use, same ones I trade, auto. You can trade yourself. You can see on this day, just chainsawed the market. It went down, up, up. This one failed. This one gave a little profit. This one worked. This was huge. This was huge. Nailed the low. This one worked. This one failed. Obviously, when trends reverse, a lot of times one of the signals fails. This one, you might have broke even on that trade. You will find, and this is just from a day or two ago. This one worked, failed. This one worked. This one worked. This one worked. This one pretty much break even. This one worked. This one failed. This one worked. As you can see, when trends change, a lot of times the first or second signal fails, and you can discretionarily and you can manually decide whether to take those trades or not. Typically what I do when I manually trade is draw my fibs on there, and I'm more apt to get short near the 50% level. So I would kind of skip this trade here if I thought the market, this is kind of a mini double bottom with a false breakout underneath the previous low. Typically it's going to work its way up to the hourly. I would wait, and I would prefer to get short near the 50%. A lot of times when a market opens and it just goes slightly over this bar and then back in, I tend to manually get in here with a super tight stop, and then if my systems show me a sell signal after I'm already in the trade, I'll kind of wait a little bit longer. Typically I will let it try to go down. If it fails and goes down again and doesn't break these lows, I'm out here with a small profit, whereas I would have a small loss if I took the signal. So you can trade however you normally do and use these as confirmation as well. It should improve your odds. So that's some of the things that are in this new version. There were quite a few bug fixes. We fixed the daily volume profile charts, and probably a slew of other things over the last probably 5 or 6 months. It's been a long time since we released a new version, mainly because I've been working on trading, automating systems, and doing a ton of research and As you can see, close to 70 different patterns are in this. That's what I've been doing. My focus is still 100% on trading right now. We're not even really marketing our software, but we might in the future. I'm going to redesign our website in the coming month or two and start sending out email newsletters every month again and let people know, how to use our software. It's by far, I think, the best software in the world for Forex trading especially. And with these new signals, brand new traders that know nothing about trading can use the currency indexes to identify which ones to buy and sell, and then just wait for a signal. That's it. Use trailing stops, learn Fibonacci profit targets for what I consider the best exits, and trade.